This presentation will be describing various aspects of intermolecular forces. Intermolecular forces are attraction or repulsion forces that occur between molecules. They are a main way in which molecules interact with each other. This presentation looks at the history, current understanding, and one of the many ways to visualize and compute intermolecular forces. First, we will be looking at the broad topic of intermolecular forces. In general, molecules interact via several different categories of intermolecular forces. The most abundant, but least effective in terms of strength, is called London dispersion forces. These are found in every type of molecule. A molecule with a highly electronegative atom bonded to a weakly electronegative atom forms partial negative and positive electrostatics, respectively. This separation of charges creates a dipole within the molecule. Dipole-induced dipole forces occur between a molecule which has a strong enough dipole to induce a temporary dipole of a nonpolar molecule. The opposing charges of each dipole then form an attraction. Two permanent dipoles can also attract each other. Actual charged molecules can attract or repel other charged molecules by electrostatic interactions. Direction of force depends on whether the charges are the same or different. One extremely important intermolecular force within biology is hydrophobic and hydrophilic interactions, which will be described later. Intermolecular forces also play an important role in keeping biological systems at their constant disequilibrium. Intermolecular forces are a main component which describes the physical properties of molecules such as melting and boiling points. The general main theme will be describing how and why this phenomenon occurs. A specific example, which will be viewed throughout this project, is water. Water is the main component in almost all biology. In the human body, water plays an essential role due to its very high concentration. Water is known as the universal solvent, so it behaves as a medium where various reactions can take place within. Water is also important because it behaves in several intermolecular forces. It interacts by London dispersion, dipole-induced dipole, and dipole-dipole intermolecular forces. A unique dipole-dipole force, called hydrogen bonding, is found in water as well. It is an intermolecular force which takes place when a very highly electronegative atom, such as oxygen, nitrogen, or fluorine, is bonded to a very weakly electronegative atom, hydrogen. This creates a large disparity in charges, and the electronegative atom of one molecule forms a strong intermolecular force with the hydrogen of another. The other main problem to be addressed in this presentation will be how mechanisms within the body utilize intermolecular forces. In addressing the main question presented in the previous slide, intermolecular forces occur because it provides a means by which molecules lower their energy. An attractive intermolecular force stabilizes oppositely, partially, or fully charged species by pulling them closer to each other. Repulsive forces push like-charged molecules further from each other. The major importance of studying intermolecular forces is to broaden the scope by which the scientific community understands reaction settings. A specific interaction which has been looked at in this course has been protein folding and unfolding. This process is a result of water molecules hydrogen bonding to parts of a protein and stretching them. Another importance is in fighting climate change. A recent study showed that intermolecular forces play an integral role in aerosol formation in the atmosphere. These aerosols are extremely critical for reflecting solar energy back into space, and the research is ongoing. To better understand where modern scientists are in their understanding of intermolecular forces, this presentation will take some time to review the history and scientists which studied this phenomenon. One of the first scientists which made significant headway in the problem of intermolecular forces was Boyle. Boyle was able to determine a relationship between pressure and volume and created a mathematical relationship. Charles and Gay-Lussac performed a similar relationship between volume and temperature. With the definition of a mole in combination of the relations of pressure, volume, and temperature, in association with a constant known as the universal gas constant, the ideal gas law was created. Because of the frequent and often large disparities between experimental results and the ideal gas law predictions, scientists continued to look for a more empirical law which better described intermolecular forces. Van der Waals, who mainly studied gas phases, found that his relationship considered properties such as the volume of gas particles and attractive constants. The van der Waals equation of state better described real gases. However, it did not include any repulsion. Coulomb determined the electrostatic equation which applies to any charged species. Unlike previous intermolecular forces, Coulomb's electrostatic interaction was not universal for all molecules. It only occurred between charged species. It did, however, account for a repulsion force. After the van der Waals equation of state was still not entirely accurate, many theories were proposed, along with semi-empirical functions to obtain a better understanding of intermolecular forces. May created one such equation of the interaction pair potential form, which accurately accounted for attractive and repulsive forces as well as distances between particles. With the invent of the theory of quantum mechanics, London, who studied light interactions with gases, experimentally determined the value of n for the May equation. The pair potential now had an empirically well-defined attractive term, which gave a more precise attractive force value for van der Waals forces of molecules. London dispersion forces, as they are now referred to as, are universal. Because only the attractive portion was empirically determined, a repulsion term had to be calculated for each interaction. The Lennard-Jones model was able to incorporate a value for m, which gave a close enough value for most systems. This became the most common method for determining van der Waals intermolecular forces of molecules, which now accounted for attractive and repulsive interactions. Many computational software programs utilize the Lennard-Jones potential equation. One error, which is often encountered, is when a system has strong electrostatic or Coulombic forces involved. More current research has been in understanding what are called solvation forces or structural forces. Many biomolecules, as previously noted, have unique features which result in substantial chemical interactions. Some research, which has begun in recent years, has been in neuron communication and protein structure and folding, as seen earlier in this course. Solvation forces have been subdivided into two different terms. A hydrophobic intermolecular force is an attraction between two nonpolar species. This results in phenomena such as self-assembling structures, including colloids, micelles, proteins, and even viruses. Typically, these are hydrophobic molecules which aggregate together to decrease surface area in polar solvents. The other type is hydrophilic repulsion. This results from a nonpolar species in a polar solvent such as water. The two molecules repel each other. Structural forces are common in the nonpolar amino acids and in lipids. There has been ongoing research since the early 1900s, but due to the difficulty in determining why these forces occur, there is an insufficient understanding in the conceptual idea of these forces. Computational chemistry began just as these forces began to be studied. With the invent of the computer, programs for computation had started. In the past, researchers discovered a new form of water in experiments. Computational chemistry, with its early development, inaccurately confirmed this result, which was called polywater. When it was determined that this was from contamination, a lack of belief in the help of computational chemistry developed. Over the years, and with better computing power, computational chemistry has proven itself extremely useful. Molecular mechanics, with the development of more accurate equations, has been able to compute very efficiently what would have been nearly impossible in the past. Visual molecular dynamics simulations can be utilized to create trajectories for better understanding of molecular motions in various mediums. Molecular dynamics can also reveal reaction mechanisms which were undetectable before. Software programs, such as VMD, provide excellent visualization, ability to model trajectories, and determine intermolecular forces, such as hydrogen bonding. The plan of action for using computational chemistry to look at various intermolecular forces in this project is by modeling compounds using visual dynamics to better visualize the attraction and repulsion between molecules. Another method would be to utilize molecular mechanics models, such as the quantum molecular mechanics Born-Oppenheimer approximation, which can be utilized to determine the energy of molecules. This is a rendering of an enclosed volume of water. The oxygens are shown as van der Waals spheres in red and the hydrogens in white. The blue dashed lines extending from the oxygen of one molecule to the hydrogens of another is the hydrogen bonding intermolecular force. The distance of interaction is a mere 3 angstroms. As a result, several water molecules are displayed with having no hydrogen bonding occurring. This is a VMD rendering of a phospholipid bilayer membrane present in almost all biological cells. This membrane was generated to be 100 by 100 angstroms, containing over 50,000 atoms. The red top and bottom layers, referred to as the membrane heads, are polar with phosphorus atoms. The middle region is comprised of fatty acid alkane chains. These chains display a tremendous amount of hydrophobic attraction with each other. This self-assembled membrane reveals the magnitudes of energy found in structural forces. Using the molecular dynamics software NAMD, the bond, electronic, and van der Waals energies were calculated. The bonding energy is around 46,000 kilojoules per mole. The electronic energy is negative 72,000 kilojoules per mole. However, the hydrophobic attraction found in this 100 by 100 angstrom membrane is an extreme, nearly 42 billion kilojoules per mole. This energy table addresses the main problem brought forth at the beginning of this presentation. When large molecules with very effective intermolecular forces arrive near each other, as seen in this example, the effects can become very large. The membrane's large attractive forces are found within living organisms because they can easily self-assemble when the right molecules are present. This is thanks to structural intermolecular forces at play. Without membranes and other structures in the body which utilize intermolecular forces, many very important processes and regulations found in living organisms would be much more labor-intensive or possibly non-existent altogether. Here are the sources which I gathered the information in this presentation from.